The royal chambers of the Astral Dominion's central palace gleamed with their characteristic blue-silver light, but today the atmosphere was heavy with tension. Princess Lyra stood tall before the Council of Elders, her luminescent skin pulsing with defiance as she faced her judges. "Your ideas threaten the very fabric of our society," declared Elder Thorn, his voice echoing through the vast chamber. "Contact with lesser species, sharing our knowledge. These notions are dangerous and forbidden." Lyra's four-fingered hands clenched at her sides. "We cannot remain isolated forever. The universe is changing. Other civilizations have much to teach us if we would only listen." The council's decision was swift and merciless. Exile. But Lyra knew the truth behind their formal pronouncement. They wanted her gone permanently. Her own family had turned their backs, her father, the king, remaining silent as the sentence was passed. Within hours, Lyra found herself aboard her small royal vessel, stripped of its escort fleet, with only the bare minimum life support systems activated. The final words of Elder Thorn lingered in her mind. "May you find the primitives you so admire more welcoming than we could be." As her ship entered hyperspace, Lyra settled into the captain's chair. Perhaps exile was an opportunity to prove her theories correct. She would find a peaceful civilization and establish contact, showing her people that cooperation was possible. The ship's warning system blared suddenly, breaking her from her thoughts. Red lights flashed across the control panel. "Engine sabotage detected," announced the computer's monotone voice. "Critical failure imminent." Lyra frantically worked the controls, but it was too late. The hyperdrive had been tampered with, set to fail catastrophically once she was far enough from home that no one would witness her accident. "Computer, nearest habitable planet," she commanded, fighting to keep the damaged ship under control. Planet designation: Earth. Class M, inhabited by pre-space flight civilization. The irony wasn't lost on Lyra. Of all places to crash, she would land on exactly the type of world her people feared contacting. As the ship broke from hyperspace, its engines sputtering and dying, she caught her first glimpse of the blue-green world through the viewscreen. Earth's atmosphere burned around the failing shields of her craft. Lyra strapped herself into the emergency harness as the ship plummeted toward the surface, aiming for what looked like a vast area of vegetation. Perhaps it would cushion the impact. The crash was violent. Metal tore and systems exploded as the royal vessel carved a deep trench through an ancient forest before coming to rest in a small clearing. Inside the smoking wreckage, Lyra hung limp in her harness, blood of deep purple seeping from a gash across her forehead. When consciousness returned, pain greeted her first. Her life support suit had automatically sealed her wounds, but the ship's medical systems were offline. Every movement sent burning agony through her body. The communication array was destroyed, the engines beyond repair. She was stranded, alone, on a world that had never encountered alien life. In nearby towns, people reported strange lights in the night sky. Local news stations aired blurry footage of what witnesses claimed was a meteor. Government weather stations logged an unusual atmospheric disturbance, but classified it as a minor meteorological event. None suspected that a princess from across the stars now lay wounded in their forest, or that her arrival would forever change the course of human history. As night fell over the crash site, Lyra drifted in and out of consciousness, her suit's power reserves dropping steadily. She needed help. But on this alien world, who would offer aid to someone so different? Who would see past her strange appearance to recognize a sentient being in need? Little did she know, she would soon have her answer. Jack Miller hiked through the dense forest, his worn boots crunching over fallen leaves and twigs. The morning air felt crisp in his lungs as he followed the trail of broken trees and disturbed earth. Last night's strange lights had pulled him from sleep, and the thunderous crash that followed had shaken his small cabin. Probably just a meteorite, he muttered to himself, adjusting the straps of his backpack. But curiosity had always been Jack's weakness. 20 years as a field biologist had taught him to notice things others missed. The damage pattern seemed wrong for a meteor, too directional, too controlled. And the strange metallic debris scattered along the path didn't match any aircraft he knew. When Jack reached the clearing, he froze. The sight before him defied explanation. Half buried in the soft earth lay what could only be described as a spacecraft. Not the clunky machines humans sent to space, but something elegant and alien. Its silver-blue hull gleamed despite the damage, material unlike any metal Jack had seen. "Impossible," he whispered, but his scientific mind had already accepted the evidence. This was not from Earth. Caution told him to retreat, to call authorities. But something else, perhaps the same curiosity that had driven him to study life's mysteries, pulled him forward. A section of the hull had split open, creating a jagged doorway into darkness. Jack clicked on his flashlight and peered inside. "Hello," he called, his voice echoing strangely in the damaged vessel. A sudden movement caught his eye. In the beam of his flashlight, a figure stirred. Jack's heart pounded as he made out a humanoid shape, but one clearly not human. The beam's skin shimmered with a pale blue glow. Four-fingered hands clutched at what appeared to be a wound. Large, almond-shaped eyes reflected his light like those of a nocturnal animal. Those eyes locked with his, filled with pain and fear. Jack stepped back instinctively. The creature, no, he corrected himself, the person, tried to move but collapsed with a sound that needed no translation. Pain. Years of treating injured wildlife in the field kicked in. Whatever sat before him was hurt and needed help. "I'm not going to hurt you," Jack said, keeping his voice calm and low as he would with a wounded animal. He set down his backpack and slowly removed a first aid kit. The alien watched his every move, body tense. When Jack approached, the being pressed back against the damaged wall and spoke. The language was unlike anything Jack had heard, musical and complex. Jack pointed to himself. "Jack," he said clearly. The alien seemed to understand the introduction. A four-fingered hand pressed against a chest covered in what looked like a form-fitting uniform. "Lyra," came the reply, the voice higher than Jack expected, but clearly making an effort to mimic his simple introduction. Jack smiled and nodded, then pointed to his own injuries from past accidents and mind treating them before pointing to Lyra's wounds. Lyra hesitated, eyes darting between Jack's face and the medical supplies. Then, slowly, a decision seemed to form. With obvious pain, Lyra extended an injured arm toward Jack. Trust, however tentative, had been established. Outside, a helicopter passed overhead. Park rangers, or perhaps military, already investigating the crash. Jack knew they had little time. "You can't stay here," he said, gesturing to the sky, and then to the woods surrounding them. "My cabin. Not far." Whether Lyra understood his words or just his urgency wasn't clear, but when Jack offered support to stand, the alien princess accepted. Together, the unlikeliest of pairs moved slowly into the forest cover. An exiled royal from across the stars and a solitary human who'd chosen nature over society. Neither could possibly know how their meeting would change not just their lives, but the future of two civilizations. The cabin's warm light cast long shadows across the wooden floor as Jack carefully cleaned Lyra's wounds. 3 days had passed since he brought the alien princess to his home, and each day brought small victories in their growing understanding of one another. "Pain. Less?" Jack asked slowly, pointing to the purple gash on Lyra's arm that was now showing signs of healing. Lyra nodded, her large eyes blinking in what Jack had come to recognize as appreciation. "Less pain. Thank you, Jack." Her speech had improved remarkably fast. Jack's collection of language books and his patient teaching had found fertile ground in Lyra's quick-learning mind. She absorbed English with a speed that stunned him, though her pronunciation remained musical and distinctly alien. "Your technology is amazing," Jack said, examining the life support suit that had kept her alive after the crash. Its self-repairing properties fascinated him as a scientist. "We have nothing like this on Earth." "My world," Very old civilization, Lyra explained, struggling to find the right words. Many thousand years more than Earth. Outside, rain pattered against the windows. The forest seemed to protect them, sheltering their unlikely friendship from the world beyond. But both knew this couldn't last. Jack turned on his small radio to check the news. The broadcaster's voice filled the room. Government officials continue to investigate reports of an unidentified object crashing in the national forest. The public is asked to report any unusual sightings. Lyra tensed at the words, her skin pulsing with a faint glow that Jack had learned indicated stress. "They will find ship," she said, her four-fingered hand reaching instinctively for the translator device they'd salvaged from the wreckage. "Find me. Study me." Jack nodded soberly. "Probably. Humans fear what they don't understand." "Like my people," Lyra said quietly, surprising Jack with the bitterness in her voice. She touched the royal markings on her neck, partially hidden by her healing wounds. "I was cast out because I spoke truth, said we should meet other worlds, share knowledge." Jack sat across from her, passing a mug of tea which she had come to enjoy. "That's why they exiled you. For wanting to connect with other species." Lyra's expression darkened. "My people believe they are superior. All others are primitive, dangerous." She looked at Jack with her strange but expressive eyes. "I disagreed. Said we have much to learn from others. For this, family, council, all rejected me." The revelation hung in the air between them. Jack felt an unexpected kinship with the alien princess. He too had chosen isolation after colleagues had mocked his theories about cooperative ecosystems rather than purely competitive ones. "We're both outcasts then," he said with a small smile. Their moment of connection was interrupted by the distant sound of helicopter blades. Jack moved quickly to the window, peering through the rain-streaked glass. "Government search teams," he said grimly. "They're expanding their search area." Lyra stood, still unsteady but stronger than before. She moved to a map of the region Jack had pinned to his wall and pointed to the crash site, then traced a finger to their current location. "Energy signature. They follow from ship to here," she explained, her technical knowledge outpacing her limited vocabulary. "Need to move. Hide better." Jack nodded, already gathering essential supplies. "I know these forests better than anyone. There's an old research station further up the mountain. No power, no technology they can trace." As they packed for their escape, Jack realized how quickly their fates had become intertwined. He glanced at Lyra, watching as she carefully placed her translator and the few functioning pieces of alien technology into a backpack. "Why help me?" she asked suddenly, catching his gaze. "I am not your kind." Jack thought for a moment before answering. "Maybe that's exactly why. Sometimes it takes someone different to see the truth." Outside, the helicopter sounds grew louder, but between them, something stronger than fear was growing. A trust that would soon be tested in ways neither could imagine. The abandoned research station stood weathered but solid against the mountainside. Its solar panels, once cutting-edge technology, now gathered just enough power to run the most basic systems. Jack and Lyra had made it their home for the past 2 weeks, staying one step ahead of the government search teams. Tonight, a storm lashed the windows with rain as they sat beside a small portable heater. Lyra's wounds had mostly healed, leaving faint purple markings across her luminescent skin. Her command of English improved daily. "I need to tell you something," Lyra said, her voice somber. She set down the book on Earth biology she'd been studying with fascination. "The truth about why I am here." Jack looked up from the alien translator he'd been trying to repair. Something in her tone made him set his tools aside. "I thought you were exiled for your political views," he said. Lyra's skin dimmed slightly, a sign Jack now recognized as sadness or shame. "That was true, but not complete truth. I was not just exiled. I was sentenced to death." Jack's eyes widened. "Death, for suggesting cooperation with other species. My father, the High Commander, could not execute his daughter publicly. Would make him appear weak." Her four-fingered hands trembled slightly. So he announced exile, but sabotaged my ship, expected me to die in space. No witnesses, no questions. The revelation hung heavy in the small room. Jack tried to process the betrayal Lyra had endured from her own family. If I do not report to checkpoint station at System Edge, official story will be I was lost in space accident. Lyra's eyes met Jack's. But my ship emergency beacon activated during crash. Signal very weak, but strong enough to reach your people eventually. Jack finished, understanding dawning on his face. Lyra nodded grimly. They will send hunters to complete sentence, to ensure I am truly dead. As if summoned by her words, a distant light flashed in the night sky outside their window. Too bright, too fast, and moving with too much purpose to be a shooting star or aircraft. Both rushed to the window, watching as the light descended rapidly into the forest several miles away. Astral scout ship, Lyra whispered, fear evident in her voice. Assassins. Jack pulled back from the window, mind racing. How long do we have? Their trackers will find my energy signature soon. Hours, maybe less. Lyra moved quickly to the small pile of salvage technology from her ship. Need to mask our location. She activated a small device that emitted a faint blue pulse. Disruption field will confuse scanners temporarily. Jack grabbed his backpack, already mentally planning their next move. We need to keep moving, head deeper into the mountains. Lyra placed a hand on his arm, stopping him. Jack, you should go. This is not your fight. They want me, not you. Do these assassins care about human life? Jack asked bluntly. Lyra's silence was answer enough. I thought so, he said, continuing to pack. Besides, you still need help navigating Earth. We stick together. As they hurriedly gathered their most important supplies, an urgent news alert blared from Jack's emergency radio. Breaking news. Military officials have cordoned off an area of the national forest following reports of unusual atmospheric disturbances. Citizens are warned to avoid the region and report any unusual sightings immediately. Jack turned to Lyra with grim determination. Now we got both your assassins and my government looking for us. Lyra's expression hardened as she slipped a small metallic object into Jack's hand. This is astral defense tool. Like weapon. Might need protection. Jack examined the alien device, feeling its unfamiliar weight. How do I use it? I teach you as we travel, she said, her eyes reflecting the severity of their situation. But hope we never need it. As they slipped out into the stormy night, two distinct dangers converged on their location. Human forces seeking an alien visitor, and alien hunters with orders to ensure Princess Lyra never returned home alive. Their friendship, forged in exile, would now be tested in a fight for survival. The mountain cave offered temporary shelter from both the elements and their pursuers. Jack stoked a small fire while Lyra monitored her disruption device, which pulsed with weakening light. Battery power low, she said, tapping the alien technology with concern. Maybe one more day protection. Outside, rain had given way to mist that clung to the pines and obscured the valley below. Somewhere in that fog, both human and alien forces were searching for them. We need a better plan than just running, Jack said, handing Lyra a cup of boiled water. He'd been teaching her about Earth survival skills, while she taught him the basics of her technology. This exchange of knowledge had become their routine during quiet moments. Lyra sipped the warm liquid gratefully. In my world, children of royal house learn strategy from birth, she said, her voice tinged with irony. Never thought I would use these lessons while hiding in cave on distant planet. Tell me more about your world, Jack said, settling beside her. Not just the politics, but what you believe in. Why were your ideas so dangerous? Lyra's skin brightened slightly, a sign Jack had come to recognize as enthusiasm. My people believe in order, hierarchy. Every species has place in universe, with astral dominion at top. And you disagreed? Jack prompted. I studied old texts, secret histories, found evidence that long ago, before Empire, my ancestors believed in balance of all life. Her four-fingered hand traced patterns in the dirt floor of the cave. All species connected, all important. Jack laughed softly, causing Lyra to look up in surprise. "Sorry," he said. "It's just, that's exactly what my research was about. Interconnected ecosystems, how every species plays a vital role. This is why your human colleges rejected your work?" Lyra asked. Jack nodded. They preferred theories about competition driving evolution, survival of the fittest. I argued that cooperation was equally important, that species evolved to help each other as much as to compete. "Same argument that made me traitor to my people," Lyra said, wonder in her voice. A comfortable silence fell between them as they both contemplated this unexpected common ground. Two beings from different worlds, cast out for seeing the same truth. "Show me again how this works," Jack said finally, picking up the astral defense tool. His fingers awkwardly found the activation points Lyra had taught him. "No, like this," she said, placing her hand over his to guide him. "Intent matters. Tool reads bioelectric field, responds to thought patterns." The device hummed to life, emitting a soft blue glow. Jack concentrated as Lyra had instructed, and the energy field expanded slightly. "Good," she exclaimed. "You learn fast for human." "And you speak better English every day," Jack replied with a smile. "Maybe we're proving our theories correct just by working together." Lyra's expression grew serious. "Jack, if hunters find us, they will not hesitate. Not trained for mercy. And the government teams won't understand what they're dealing with," Jack added grimly. "If they capture you, best case is a lifetime in a lab. Worst case," he didn't need to finish. They both understood the stakes. "There must be a way to show both our peoples that cooperation possible," Lyra said, her royal training evident in her refusal to accept defeat. "If enough humans see me, understand me, perhaps your leaders realize I am not threat. And if we could communicate with reasonable people from your world," Jack added, excitement building in his voice, "show them that humans aren't primitive savages. We need a larger plan," Lyra said, her eyes brightening with new determination. "Not just survival, but changing minds." Jack reached for his backpack and pulled out a worn notebook and pen. "Then let's make one. Between your royal strategy training and my scientific approach, there has to be a solution." As night deepened around their small fire, an alien princess and a human scientist bent their heads together over a simple Earth notebook, drafting a plan that might change the course of two civilizations if they could stay alive long enough to implement it. Dawn broke over the mountains, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Jack checked his phone. The first time he'd risked turning it on in days. 1 bar of signal, enough to send a message. "Are you sure about this?" he asked Lyra, who stood watching the sunrise, her blue skin absorbing the morning light. "No other choice," she replied. "Hunters getting closer. Your government too. Time to stop running." Jack nodded and typed a message to Dr. Eleanor West, his former colleague at the University Research Center. Despite their past disagreements about his theories, Eleanor was brilliant, well-connected, and most importantly, open-minded. "Message sent," Jack said, quickly powering down the phone. "If she believes me, she'll meet us at the coordinates in 6 hours." Lyra adjusted the makeshift pack containing her remaining technology. "Your friend can be trusted." "Eleanor is more skeptical than trusting," Jack said with a small smile. "That's actually why I trust her. She follows evidence, not emotions." They began their careful descent toward the rendezvous point, an isolated field station used for atmospheric research. Jack had chosen it for its satellite communication equipment and remote location. "If hunters find us before your friend arrives?" Lyra asked, scanning the skies nervously. Jack patted the alien defense tool at his belt. "Then we'll have to convince them that some humans are more advanced than they think." By mid-afternoon, they'd reached the field station. The small compound of scientific buildings stood empty, currently between research rotations, perfect for their needs. Jack forced open a maintenance door, and they slipped inside the main building. Lyra immediately went to work examining the Earth communication equipment, comparing it to her own knowledge. "Primitive," she muttered, "but can be modified with my translator components." Jack kept watch at the window. "What's your plan exactly?" "Create broadcast that reaches both Earth systems and astral relay stations," Lyra explained, her fingers working quickly to connect her technology to the human equipment. "Send truth to both worlds simultaneously." A distant mechanical sound made them both freeze. "Helicopter," Jack whispered, peering through the blinds. "Military." Before they could react, another sound joined it, a high-pitched whine unlike any Earth aircraft. Through the window, Jack spotted a sleek, silver-blue ship materializing from what had appeared to be empty sky. "Cloaking technology," Lyra gasped. "Hunter ship." The two threats converged on the field station from opposite directions, human forces unaware they were about to encounter alien assassins, and astral hunters likely planning to eliminate any humans who got in their way. "Work faster," Jack urged, moving to secure the doors. A car appeared on the access road, a civilian vehicle moving at high speed. "Eleanor," Jack said with relief. She came. The scientist's vehicle skidded to a stop outside, and a woman in her 50s with silver-streaked hair jumped out, looking up in shock at both the helicopter and the now visible alien craft descending from opposite sides. Jack rushed to the door, waving frantically. Eleanor spotted him and ran toward the building. "Have you lost your mind, Miller?" she demanded as she burst inside. Then she saw Lyra, and her scientific composure briefly faltered. "My God, you weren't hallucinating." "Dr. Eleanor West, meet Princess Lyra of the Astral Dominion," Jack said quickly. "And we have about 2 minutes before this becomes a battlefield." Eleanor's shocked expression hardened into determination. "What do you need?" "Help finishing this broadcast array," Lyra said, gesturing to the half-completed connection between her technology and the Earth equipment. As Eleanor moved to assist, the building trembled. Outside, the alien craft had landed, and 3 figures in sleek armor emerged, weapons raised. Simultaneously, the helicopter touched down, and soldiers poured out, taking positions. "They're going to kill each other," Jack said, watching the two forces approach on a collision course, each unaware of the other's true nature. Lyra worked frantically at the controls. "Almost ready. Need more time." Jack drew the alien defense tool. "Then I'll buy us some." He moved toward the door, his heart pounding but his resolve firm. Whatever happened next would determine not just their fate, but potentially the first official contact between two civilizations. Behind him, Lyra called out, "Jack, wait." But the door was already opening to chaos. The field station door swung open as Jack stepped outside, the alien defense tool humming with energy in his hand. Before him, 2 forces converged, human soldiers with raised weapons advancing from the left, 3 armored astral hunters approaching from the right. Neither group had fully noticed the other yet, their focus locked on the building. Jack took a deep breath and raised the astral device. "Stop," he shouted, channeling his intent through the tool as Lyra had taught him. The device activated with unexpected power, creating a visible energy barrier that pulsed outward in a blue ring. The shockwave wasn't harmful, but it knocked several soldiers off balance and caused the astral hunters to halt in surprise. For one frozen moment, the two groups finally noticed each other. The soldiers' weapons swung toward the alien figures, while the hunters raised their more advanced arms. "Lower your weapons," Jack commanded, standing his ground between them. "This doesn't have to end in bloodshed." Inside the station, Lyra and Eleanor worked frantically to complete the broadcast array. Lyra's fingers flew across her translator device, now wired into Earth's satellite system. "Ready," Eleanor said, flipping the final switch. "Broadcasting now." Outside, the standoff teetered on the edge of violence. The lead hunter stepped forward, helmet visor sliding open to reveal features similar to Lyra's but harder, colder. "Step aside, human," the hunter said in accented English. "Our quarry is inside. This need not concern your species." The military commander shouted back, "Put down your weapons and identify yourselves immediately." Jack maintained his position. "Nobody is killing anybody today. There's something you all need to see." At that moment, every screen in the compound flickered to life. The station's monitors, the soldiers' communication devices, even a display on the hunter's armor. Lyra's face appeared on each, her royal markings clearly visible. "People of Earth, people of the Astral Dominion," she began, her voice clear and commanding. "I am Princess Lyra, daughter of High Commander Oran. I speak to both worlds simultaneously." The soldiers and hunters alike stared at their screens in shock. "To my people, you were told I died in space, a tragic accident. The truth is I was sentenced to death for suggesting cooperation with other species. My own father ordered my execution." The lead hunter's face showed confusion, then doubt. "To the people of Earth, I come in peace. Your governments fear me because they do not understand me. But one of your own," the camera panned to show Jack standing between the two forces, "showed me humanity's potential for compassion and wisdom." The military commander lowered his weapon slightly, uncertainty replacing hostility. Lyra continued, "Watch now as proof of the corruption I flood." The broadcast switched to footage from Jack's phone, recorded secretly as they escaped, showing the alien hunters firing on unarmed positions, discussing their orders to kill not just Lyra, but any witnesses. The lead hunter removed his helmet entirely, revealing his shock. "Those orders violate our most sacred laws of engagement." Eleanor emerged from the building now, approaching the military commander with the confidence only a respected scientist could muster. "Commander, I'm Dr. Eleanor West from the University Research Center. What you're witnessing is first contact with an advanced civilization. How we respond defines humanity's future." As the broadcast continued, something remarkable happened. The hunters lowered their weapons first, their training giving way to the undeniable evidence of corruption in their leadership. The soldiers followed suit, confusion and awe replacing their battle readiness. Lyra emerged last, standing tall despite her ordeal. "For generations, our worlds have developed separately. My people believed themselves superior, while Earth remained unaware of life beyond your skies. Today, that changes." The lead hunter stepped forward and kneeled before Lyra. "Princess, there are others who suspected the corruption. Your message is reaching them now." On screens across the compound, responses began flowing in, from confused but fascinated Earth officials, and from a growing faction within the Astral Dominion who had long questioned their isolationist policies. Jack moved to Lyra's side, no longer standing between worlds but beside her, bridging them. "This is just the beginning," Lyra said, addressing both groups before her. "One human's compassion saved my life and opened my eyes. Imagine what our worlds could accomplish together." As the sun set over the field station, an impromptu council formed. Human scientists and military leaders cautiously meeting with astral hunters turned diplomats. At its center sat an unlikely pair, an alien princess and a once reclusive biologist whose chance encounter had forever changed the course of two civilizations. The stars emerged above them, no longer distant and unreachable, but filled with new possibilities and shared horizons.